Retirement in America is quietly becoming one of the most expensive life decisions you'll ever make. Not because you failed to plan, not because you didn't work hard enough, but because the system itself keeps raising the price of staying put. Housing costs don't stop when you stop working. Healthcare bills don't slow down just because your income does. And inflation doesn't care that your paycheck has been replaced by a fixed monthly check. So here's the uncomfortable question most people never ask. Is the real risk in retirement running out of money or running out of options? While millions of Americans are trying to stretch Social Security and savings inside one of the most expensive countries in the world, something very different is happening elsewhere. Governments are competing for retirees, not tourists, not investors. Retirees. They offer tax breaks, special visas, legal senior discounts, and in some cases, direct financial incentives, all designed to make your money go further simply by changing where you live. This isn't about escaping responsibility. It's about understanding leverage. And once you see how the global retirement game actually works, it's hard to unsee it. Stay with me, because the countries we're about to break down may completely change how you think about retirement. If this kind of strategic thinking matters to you, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Before we go any further, we need to clarify something important, because this is where most videos on this topic lose credibility. When people hear the phrase, countries that pay you to retire, they imagine a government check showing up in the mail every month. That's not what this is, and oversimplifying it would miss the real opportunity. When we say a country pays you to retire, what we're really talking about is leverage. Financial leverage created by policy, geography, and demographics. Some countries don't take a dollar from your retirement income. Others offer special visas designed specifically for retirees, removing the legal friction that usually comes with moving abroad. In many places, senior discounts aren't optional or promotional. They're written into law, reducing your cost of transportation, utilities, healthcare, and even entertainment automatically, simply because of your age. Then there's the most powerful factor of all, cost of living. If your monthly income stays the same, but your expenses drop by 40, 50, or even 60%, that difference is effectively new income. You didn't earn more. You didn't invest more. You simply changed where your money operates. That's what smart retirement planning actually looks like. It's also important to set expectations. Not every country on this list hands out cash. Some do, but most don't. What they offer instead is something far more sustainable. A system where retirees are economically valuable. Aging populations, shrinking workforces, and declining rural areas have pushed governments to design policies that attract stable, long-term residents with predictable income. Retirees fit that profile perfectly. So this isn't about fantasy or loopholes. It's about understanding incentives. Countries reward the behavior they need. And right now, many of them need retirees more than retirees realize. As we move through this list, don't ask which country sounds the most exciting. Ask a better question. Where does my income go the furthest, and why? If you're ready to think about retirement as a strategy instead of an age, keep watching. Let's start with the countries that surprise people the most. Not because they're risky or unstable, but because they quietly offer an extremely high quality of life at a fraction of the cost most Americans are used to. These are places where retirement income doesn't just survive, it stretches. Take Albania. It sits on the Mediterranean, with coastline views that feel Italian and prices that absolutely are not. Housing costs are dramatically lower than anywhere in Western Europe, and daily expenses remain affordable even on a modest fixed income. Americans can stay long-term without complicated visa requirements, which removes one of the biggest barriers retirees face when moving abroad. Albania doesn't advertise itself aggressively, and that's exactly why it still works so well financially. Mexico is a different kind of advantage. Proximity matters. Being a short flight from them means easier family visits, familiar brands, and less psychological distance from home. But the real value is economic. In many parts of Mexico, retirees cut their cost of living in half while gaining access to high-quality private health care. Medical care here is not a compromise. It's often faster, more personal, and far less expensive than what retirees experience in the United States. Add a retiree-friendly residency system, and Mexico becomes less of an escape and more of a practical financial upgrade. Then there's the Philippines, which operates on a completely different cost structure. English is widely spoken, healthcare is affordable, and the culture places real respect on older adults. Retirement visas are designed with foreigners in mind, not as an afterthought. In many cities, a retiree can live comfortably on an income that would barely cover rent back home. That gap between income and expenses creates something rare in retirement: margin. What all three of these countries have in common is simple. They don't require wealth. They reward predictability. Stable retirement income, long-term residency, and local spending make retirees economically valuable. And when that happens, the system starts working in your favor. This is where retirement stops being about sacrifice and starts becoming about alignment. Now let's shift to a different kind of advantage, not lower rent or cheaper groceries, but something far more powerful over the long term, keeping more of your retirement income. Because in retirement, what you keep often matters more than what you earn. This is where tax-friendly countries come into play. Uruguay is a strong example. It's one of the most politically stable and safest countries in Latin America, but its real appeal for retirees is structural. Uruguay does not tax foreign retirement income. That means Social Security, pensions, and distributions from investments earned abroad are left untouched. For retirees living on a fixed income, that predictability matters. Add in accessible healthcare and a calm, orderly lifestyle, and Uruguay becomes less about excitement and more about peace of mind. Portugal offers a different model. For years, it has attracted retirees through its non-habitual resident tax program, which significantly reduces or eliminates taxes on foreign income for a defined period. While the rules have evolved, the core advantage remains. Portugal is still far more forgiving to retirees than many high-tax countries. Combine that with strong public health care, reliable infrastructure, and a lower cost of living outside major cities, and you get a system that supports long-term stability, not just short-term savings. Then there's Malta, which appeals to retirees who want European living with fewer complications. English is an official language, the legal system is familiar, and the country operates under clear tax rules for foreign residents. Malta taxes foreign income only if it's brought into the country, allowing retirees to manage when and how they access their funds. That level of control is rare, and for some retirees, it's the difference between constant worry and financial confidence. What connects these countries isn't generosity, it's intention. They understand that retirees bring consistent income, long-term residency, and local spending. By reducing tax pressure, they make themselves competitive. This is what smart retirement planning looks like at the policy level. Less friction, more clarity, and systems designed to work with you instead of against you. Now let's talk about a different kind of signal. When governments start offering relocation incentives, housing subsidies, or special tax treatment to retirees, it's usually not generosity. It's math. Population decline, aging workforces, and shrinking local economies create pressure, and retirees become part of the solution. Italy is a perfect example of this dynamic. As a country, Italy already offers favorable tax treatment for foreign retirees who settle in certain parts of the country, especially outside major urban centers. But beyond national policy, local governments have stepped in aggressively. Small towns facing depopulation are offering relocation grants, tax reductions, and even symbolic home prices to attract long-term residents. Retirees bring steady income, spend locally, and don't compete for jobs. From the government's perspective, that's an asset. For retirees, the appeal goes beyond incentive. Daily living costs in many Italian towns are far lower than in major cities. Healthcare is universal and affordable. And culturally, aging is not treated as a liability. It's woven into everyday life. The incentives simply accelerate a decision that already makes sense financially. Spain follows a similar logic. Nationally, Spain provides a clear legal path for retirees through long-term residency options and a strong public healthcare system. On top of that, rural areas have begun offering financial incentives to attract new residents as younger populations move towards cities. These incentives may come in the form of grants, tax reductions, or support for housing and utilities. What matters here is not the exact amount of money offered. It's the message. These countries are openly acknowledging that retirees are economically valuable. They stabilize communities, support local services, and create demand without volatility. This is a fundamental shift from the way retirement is treated in many high-cost countries, where aging is seen primarily as a fiscal burden. In Italy and Spain, particularly outside the largest cities, retirees are part of the recovery strategy. And when a country's policy aligns with your financial reality, retirement stops feeling like a withdrawal. It starts feeling like a negotiation you're finally winning. Now we reach the countries that didn't stumble into being retirement havens. They designed themselves that way. Panama and Ecuador sit at the top of this list because their systems are built specifically to attract and support foreign retirees over the long term. Panama is often considered the gold standard for retirement policy. The reason is simple. Its pensionado visa was created with retirees in mind, not adapted later as an afterthought. This visa unlocks a wide range of legally protected discounts on healthcare, transportation, utilities, entertainment, and even airfare. These are not temporary promotions. They are written into law. On top of that, Panama does not tax foreign-earned retirement income. Your Social Security, pension, or investment distributions remain untouched. Panama also uses the dollar, which removes currency risk and makes day-to-day budgeting predictable. Combine that with modern infrastructure, high-quality private healthcare, and a large English-speaking expat community, and you get something rare in retirement planning: stability without isolation. Ecuador operates on a similar principle, but at an even lower cost base. It offers a retiree-friendly residency visa and legally mandated senior discounts that apply nationwide. Transportation, utilities, medical services, and even cultural events become significantly cheaper simply because of your age. Ecuador also does not tax foreign retirement income, allowing fixed-income retirees to maintain purchasing power. What makes Ecuador especially compelling is how far your money goes. Many retirees live comfortably on incomes that would feel restrictive elsewhere. The climate in many regions is mild year-round, reducing utility costs and healthcare strain. Healthcare itself is affordable and accessible, with private options that remain far below pricing. What Panama and Ecuador share is clarity. They recognize retirees as long-term contributors to their economies, not short-term visitors, not burdens. Their policies reduce friction, reward consistency, and make financial outcomes more predictable. At this level, retirement stops being about constant adjustment. It becomes about sustainability. When a country aligns its laws, tax system, and cost structure with the reality of aging, retirement stops feeling uncertain. It starts feeling engineered. And that's the difference between a good place to retire and a system built for it. When you step back and look at the full picture, one thing becomes clear. Retirement is no longer just a personal milestone. It's an economic decision. And like any economic decision, outcomes depend heavily on structure, incentives, and location. The countries we covered today aren't magic. They're strategic. They understand demographics. They understand long-term capital flows. And they understand that retirees bring something extremely valuable: stable income, predictable spending, and commitment to place. In return, these countries reduce friction. They lower taxes. They simplify visas. They cut everyday costs. And in some cases, they actively compete to earn your presence. This is why the question isn't whether you can afford to retire. The better question is whether you're retiring inside a system that works for you or one that quietly works against you. Of course, this doesn't mean everyone should pack up and move tomorrow. Every decision comes with trade-offs: culture, language, distance from family, healthcare preferences, and lifestyle all matter. And policies change. Tax laws evolve. Visa rules shift. That's why retirement planning should never be based on headlines or hype. It should be based on understanding incentives and staying informed. This video is not financial advice, tax advice, or legal advice. It's a framework, a way to think more strategically about retirement in a global economy. Before making any major move, it's essential to consult qualified professionals and verify current laws directly with official sources. What works for one person may not work for another, and assumptions can be costly if they go unexamined. That said, awareness changes everything. Once you realize that retirement can be optimized rather than endured, your options expand. You stop thinking only in terms of budgets and start thinking in terms of leverage. You stop asking how long your money will last and start asking where it performs best. So here's the question I want to leave you with. If you could choose any system in the world to support your retirement, would you automatically choose the one you were born into? Or would you at least want to compare your options? If any of the countries we discussed surprised you, let me know in the comments. Which one changed how you think about retirement the most? And if you'd like deeper breakdowns on taxes, healthcare systems, or retirement visas country by country, say that as well. Those details matter, and we'll be covering them in future videos. If you found this perspective valuable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This channel exists to help you see economic reality more clearly, cut through noise, and make smarter long-term decisions. Retirement doesn't have to be a guessing game. With the right information, it can be a strategy. Thanks for watching.